Hello, in this session we're going to talk about organizing the actual work of the project. We do this by organizing the work within a certain structure organized by major work areas with smaller pieces of work until you get to the smallest piece that you'll actually describe. This is called the work breakdown structure. Here is what might happen if you have not planned your work using the work breakdown structure, or WBS for short. A work breakdown structure, or WBS for short, is a deliverable-oriented grouping of the work involved in a project that defines the total scope of the project and is often portrayed graphically as a hierarchical tree. The WBS is a document that breaks down all of the work required for the project into discrete tasks and groups those tasks into a logical hierarchy, often shown in two different forms, chart form or tabular form. Here is the WBS, or work breakdown structure, in chart form. It shows graphically how the work is distributed in a graphic format. In this case, there are 4 levels of detail, level 1 being the entire project with a box labeled as such. Level 2 is the major categories of work. These 5 categories are listed across and directly underneath the project name. For each of these major areas of work, there will be another level. This form lists the work being done in the concept area. The second entry of this is the define requirements work area, which has a level 4. You will notice that there are 4 work areas under the define requirements area. Here is the same work breakdown structure in tabular form. It shows an outline of how the work is distributed. You will notice that the same information is listed here as in the chart form. Approaches to developing work breakdown structures. Using guidelines. Some organizations, like the Department of Defense, provide guidelines for preparing WBSs. There is the analogy approach, which is where you review WBSs of similar projects and tailor that to your project. Then there's the top-down approach, which is where you start with the largest items of the project and break them down, which is what the prior examples used. We have the bottom-up approach, where we start with specific tasks and roll them up. And then we have the mind mapping approach. Mind mapping is a technique that uses branches rating out from a core idea to structure thoughts and ideas. Let's look at an example. Mind mapping software is a powerful tool for managing your projects, your goals, and even your to-do lists. Mind maps are very visually oriented and enable you to gather, manage, and share a large variety of information and resources quickly and easily, which makes them an ideal tool for managing projects. Mind mapping is a registered trademark of the Busan organization. To learn more about mind mapping, you can go to www.imindmap.com. Here is a work breakdown structure generated from the mind map of the previous slide. Here is an example of a work breakdown structure using the top-down approach of a banquet. You will notice it only goes to 3 levels. There are 6 major pieces of work. Under each of these are particular work packages. There would be a level 4 for each of these when you need to have that kind of detail for each particular task. It is difficult to create a good work breakdown structure. The project manager and the project team must decide as a group how to organize the work and how many levels to include in the WBS. It is often better to focus on getting the top levels of the WBS done well to avoid being distracted by too much detail. Many people confuse tasks on the WBS with specifications or think it must reflect a sequence of steps. A WBS dictionary is a document that describes each WBS task in detail. It describes what is in each WBS element, and it may also say what is not in the element, if that is unclear. The format can vary based on project needs. It might be appropriate to have just a short paragraph describing each work package. For a more complex project, an entire page or more might be needed for the work package descriptions. It might require describing the responsible person or organization, resource requirements, estimated costs, and other information. Let's look at an example. You will notice the project title, item number, item name, and detailed description of the actual task. The item name and number was taken from the original WBS chart or outline. Here is an example of the outline the info was taken from. Let's review. A work breakdown structure, or WBS, is a deliverable-oriented grouping of the work involved in a project that defines the total scope of the project. Here is the WBS in chart form. It shows graphically how the work is distributed in a graphic format. Here is the WBS in tabular form. It shows in outline form how the work is distributed. There are different approaches to developing WBSs. Analog, as the Department of Defense uses, top-down, bottom-up, and mind mapping. The work breakdown structure dictionary entry is where you put the detail of the project work.